Hi friends, I have a new book to share with you. This one is titled Good Night Owl by Greg Pizzoli. We see Owl there tucked into bed, I think reading himself a good night story. Good night, Owl. Here's our title page. Good Night Owl by Greg Pizzoli. We see Owl there in his house. And who else do you see in the window? Yeah, there's a little mouse there. Owl was settling into bed when he heard a noise. Squeak! Well, Owl was all tucked in bed, and then he heard a noise. It was a tiny sound, no louder than a whisper, a funny noise he hadn't heard before. Someone must be at the door, said Owl. Just a minute. Oh, so Owl's putting his robe on so he can go answer the door. Who's hiding by the bed? Yeah, that little mouse. But no one was there. Probably the wind, said Owl. So he went and checked at the door. Nobody was there, but who's in the window? Yes, that little mouse is hiding. And he lay down in bed and said to himself, Good night, Owl. Then he heard the noise again. Squeak! He'd already said good night to himself and he was going to go to bed, and he hears that noise again. It's coming from the cupboard, said Owl. So he went to take a look. He's trying to figure out what that sound is. So he goes and he looks. And do you see who's hiding over here? Yes, it's that little mouse. I think that mouse is driving Owl crazy. He emptied every shelf, but there was no noise to be found. Oh my goodness. He's trying to figure out what that sound is, that noise, and he's starting to tear his house apart. Goodness gracious. So Owl went back to bed. Good night, Owl, he said. He's giving up for the night. He's going to try to sleep. And then he heard the noise. Squeak! Must be under the floor, said Owl. Oh no, he's looking down. He thinks maybe it's under the floor. What do you think he's going to do? What's your prediction? Let's see. And he pulled up the floorboards one by one. Oh my gosh, he's tearing his floor up now, trying to figure out what the sound is and where it's coming from. But he didn't find the noise. So Owl went back to bed. Oh, poor little Owl, he's looking really exhausted now. And who's there at the head of the bed? Who's hiding? That little mouse. Squeak! This house has a noisy roof, yelled Owl. Oh no, now he thinks it's in the roof. He tore apart his cabinet in the kitchen. He pulled up all his floorboards. What do you think he's going to do to the roof? And he took down the roof. There, said Owl, no more noise. Oh my good grief. He took the whole roof down. Owl got into bed, the stars and the moon settling down where his roof used to be. Good night, Owl, he said. So now he's in bed in his bedroom, and there's no roof on top. So he's seeing the moon and the stars and the night sky. And do you see that little mouse? Yeah, he's hiding right behind the bed. But Owl didn't close his eyes. He didn't dare. He knew that any second he would hear the noise. So it's still bothering him and keeping him up. He waited and waited and waited and waited. Oh my gosh, Poor owl. Squeak? It's in the walls! Owl screeched. Oh, now he thinks it's in the walls of his home. I'll get you, Noise, Owl said, and he tore down the walls of his house. Oh my goodness, he's not going to have any house left pretty soon. Can you believe this poor owl? And there's that little mouse. But he found nothing. The cupboard was empty, the floorboards were pulled up, the roof was pulled down, and the walls were gone. Owl went back to bed, and he said, "Good night, Owl." So now it's just like a bed in the middle of almost like a forest. We see the trees and the sky and everything, but there are no walls. The floor's gone, the roof's gone. And there's that little guy hiding. And then he saw the noise. Squeak. Owl smiled. He said, "Good night, Noise." Oh my goodness. So he finally figured out. He saw the noise. He sees the little mouse. And he says, "Good night, Noise." And they went to sleep. Do you see? Look carefully. There's that little mouse tucked in bed with Owl. And they can finally go to sleep in peace. And that's the end of our story. And it says back here, he's saying, "Shh, Owl's sleeping." Oh my goodness. So wasn't that a silly story? I really like that story. But poor Owl, I hope he gets a good night's rest. So my question for today is, which book should I read tomorrow? I got lots of responses last time when I asked that question, and I really appreciate all of you emailing me and messaging me. So I have 3 choices for you. I have this chameleon story, and it's titled "A Color of His Own" by Leo Leone. I have a second choice of "Giraffes Can't Dance" by Giles Andrade and Guy Parker Reese. And your third choice is another owl book. This one's titled "Little Owl's Night." And this one is also about another little owl. So your choice. Email me, and whichever book receives the most votes is what I'll read to you tomorrow for our Friday Read Aloud. Have a great day, friends, and I hope you read some of your own books at home today. Take care.